Hi, I'm Wes Platt. I'm the creator and lead developer of OtherSpace, and you may also be familiar with my work for Prologue Games, designing and writing Knee Deep, a swamp noir murder mystery adventure, which is now out on Steam for PC, Mac, and Linux. It's on VR. It's also available on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. And this is our third installment of our OtherSpace audio logs. This one is titled Lady Fate Looks Away. And before I get into that reenactment of that particular scene, I wanted to give a little information about OtherSpace, what it is, what we do, and how you can get involved. All right, so OtherSpace is a science fiction space opera collaborative epic story that people from around the world have been helping to create for nearly 19 years. The game started in 1998 with just a handful of players. And here we are, like I said, nearly 19 years later. We're back to having a handful of players because the Mush platform that we've been on for a long time has really faded from popularity and into obscurity. There are really just a very few games of that kind that are still very popular. There still are some successful ones out there. I think OtherSpace could still be a successful Mush if I had the time and the energy to devote to actually being on the Mush in the PC-based Mush environment. But what I've found is since we've started making this move to Slack, which is effectively it's a corporate chat program with where you can set up multiple channels and you can interact and talk to each other. But it's the beautiful thing about it is I can use it from anywhere. I can connect on my web browser from any computer, my desktop PC at home, my laptop when I'm on the road, my smartphone. There's even an app on the smartphone. So I am able to stay in touch, participate in scenes, offer advice, help newbies. And one of the other things I really, really like about the Slack setup is this sense that we're no longer writing stories on water. When you're working in a Mush in real time, it may be really busy and active for a little bit. You're telling stories in this environment, but once people finish typing, it's gone. There's no real sense of permanence except when I copy the text and put it in a log and do something like this project where I reenact it for an audio log. But other than that, if you log on to the Mush right now, you might see a few people hanging around in the out of character area, but there's probably not much role playing going on, and it's very hard to just kind of jump into the action if there is role playing going on. And there's no record of things that have been happening. So you can log in, you see 4 people there, nothing's happening, and your impression, the first thing when you jump into the game is this place is dead. With the Slack site instead, you come in and you see all the discussions that have been happening, how recent they've been, how many people have been involved, where all the activities happening for role playing. It's just a much more I think vigorous and lively environment to goof around in. So I really encourage people to get connected. Use slackpass.io/join the saga to effectively invite yourself to join up. That's how you set up an account and immediately get in. It's free to play. We do have a Patreon. I've updated the tier rewards. For as little as $1, for as much as $12 a month, you can contribute, and that helps cover our server costs. It also helps me be able to offset the cost of prizes and awards that I want to give out. Like we just gave out last month's Player of the Month to Nick Palazzo. who was just awesome in getting the word out about the game on Twitter and Facebook and other social media. Again, help us out at patreon.com/join the saga. If you need any further information, don't ever hesitate to drop me an email at jointhesaga@gmail.com. With that, let's move on to this week's log, which, as I said, is called Lady Fate Looks Away. Thanks, as always, to Newt and Elwindus. They're our raconteur level sponsors on Patreon. Their contributions, again, they make it possible for me to cover the server costs each year, and they help pay for the Amazon.com gift certificates and other rewards that I'll be giving out as time goes on. So thanks again. If you want to give to the Patreon, it's patreon.com/join the saga. All right, so Tomin Kora is a planet run by pirates and thieves in the earliest iteration of OtherSpace in the 27th century. That was Lord Fagan's domain, and it's Lord Fagan again in the current iteration on Slack. At this point in the story, it's the 31st century. Sanctuary has gone off into hyperspace. It's now come back to normal space. And Boss Cabrera is the criminal boss in charge of Tomin Kora. Knuckles, a big Zengali that was in Not Rapid but Reliable, I think it was our first log. He is one of the characters in this scene. He's an enforcer for Boss Cabrera, and he has run into this Timone named Tixon previously. If I recall correctly, there was basically mugged him and took his stuff, or beat him up, took his stuff. And now Tixon in this scene is coming back to Tomin Kora to try to get his stuff, and he comes in with a bit of an attitude. And one of the things that this log really helps drive home, among other logs, there are a few others we might get to down the line, but we really wanted to express how dangerous Tomin Kora can be, and it's really one of the no-holds-barred places. I don't like having to kill off characters, but there are certain, and most of the time I'm going to try to find a way to let you get away with a bad injury or something like that. But back when this happened, we have refereed combat, so there were dice rolls involved, and when the end came to make the decision on whether or not to kill Tixon, rather than making that call myself, I had my character offer that choice to somebody else in the scene. They made that choice, and that was fairly interesting. But it really kind of showed how cruel this particular planet could be, and remains. I think if you were to get on the Slack site and start playing on Tomin Kora, my tendency would be to say, if you get yourself in deep enough, it is still possible to die there. But I will still try to do what I can to help avoid that somehow. So we'll see what happens. Just travel with caution and let what happened to Tixon here be a cautionary tale. The Last Call Tavern. A place like this can make a person wish every chair sat with its back to a wall. The tavern is a dark and shadowy place, the outside glow of the nebula filtering in weakly, while pale blue plasma lanterns gleam in the center of most tables. Some seem to have run out of juice, but the complaints department doesn't care, and the maintenance crew doesn't get paid enough to intrude on conversations better left in the darkness. The room stinks of sweat, cigarette smoke, and spilled alcohol and blood. 15 tables and 6 booths are arrayed around a central C-shaped bar, which has 8 stools in front of it. Knuckles sits at a corner table in the shadows. Tixon makes his way into the tavern, the weight of a plasma rifle slung over one shoulder. His silver gaze scans the establishment for a moment before he starts toward Knuckles' table. Knuckles huffs as he sees the SoftSkin approaching. "Knuckles see your hair not grow back yet. Knuckles thinks soft furless thing amusing." Tixon bites down on the comment that leaps up his throat. He sits, the rifle leaning against the table's edge. "You have news of item for me?" he says simply, keeping his voice neutral. Knuckles humps. "Item?" Knuckles grumbles, patting his armor, then looking under the table, then flicking his eye membranes. Knuckles not see item. You say can recover thing taken from me when mugged, says the Timone, his tone measured. If this something no can do, say and I can find someone who can do. Knuckles shrugs, armor clanking. Knuckles wonder what thing you want. Thing might find. Tixon counts the items off on his fingers one by one. Plasma pistol, datapad, which item most important, vest, shiv, and other item not so important, he says. Now you tell me when asked about this that can find. This just Zengali boast or can actual do what say, eh? Knuckles grunts. Knuckles wonder what you pay for lost items. Tixon nods, pulling a ream of credits from his jacket. He tosses it onto the table where it sits in easy reach. 5,000 credit, no more, he says flatly. Knuckles grunts. Knuckles take. Knuckles no need items. Knuckles give you. Knuckles think have them. Croc plods in from the street, grunting and rumbling to himself, tail swishing back and forth. A piece of metal gleams at its tip. Tixon rests one long-fingered hand over the cash. When I get items, you get cash. Knuckles snorts. Knuckles no care. Knuckles kill you someday anyway, SoftSkin. He begins to search through his knapsack. He sets down a few items. He hums. Knuckles no see datapad. Knuckles not have. Tixon scoops the credits off the table and begins to put them away. Well, then we have no deal, he says. Need datapad more than other thing. Knuckles goes, Knuckles okay with that. Knuckles sell items. Croc growls and thumps down on a stool, tail hissing softly across the floor, tongue lashing out briefly, grunting and rumbling. Tixon snorts. Should have known no speak truth, boast more than can do, always same. He rises from his seat, taking up his rifle. Knuckles shrugs, armor clanking. Knuckles not boast. Knuckles just think datapad more valuable. His eye membranes flick. Maybe more valuable to others. Tixon chuckles. If think record of payment made former employee more valuable, you lose more than hand, he says with a sneer. If you find person for sell, give name, have many thing of junk for sell to fools. Croc doesn't seem interested in drinking. He seems more interested in watching the patrons and their actions, rumbling to himself. Knuckles grunts. Knuckles wonder, you got payment? Tixon snorts. You already had payment, he says, voice dropping in temperature. You no won't get too greedy, eh? Knuckles shrugs. Knuckles no care. Tixon nods. I sure no care, but if get too greedy you make less cost dead than alive, eh? He says, the threat far from veiled. Be happy with what got, if not so much it become problem for me. Croc just sits and watches. Knuckles stands growling, drawing the plasma rifle from his back holster and aiming it at Tixon. Knuckles think you want to watch mouth, stupid SoftSkin. Tixon brings his own weapon to bear on the hulking Zengali. Think you might want to take care self, scaleback, he says coldly. You no find me unarmed in cell this time, eh? Knuckles chortles. Knuckles in Shadowheart. Knuckles in Cabrera Town. Knuckles lose one scale to stupid SoftSkin. Breathing funny? Stupid SoftSkin not get off world alive. Croc just grunts, a soft chortle as the scene unfolds before him. Tixon smiles an odd little smile. You be dead all same, eh? Knuckles shrugs. Knuckles not think you get the drop. And so he proceeds to squeeze the trigger. Tixon spies the movement of the thick Zengali finger on the trigger, his own weapon firing first. A gout of plasma belches forth, the range almost negligible. Knuckles takes a shot of his own, a breath after Tixon has fired. The Zengali throws himself clumsily aside as the shots are fired, and takes the blast square in his ablative armor, which is eaten through and demolished, searing his pebbled flesh before he hits the floor. Tixon jerks to move out of the way, his reflexes betraying him. The plasma bolt slams into his vest, burrowing neatly into his chest as he is blown backwards by the secondary blast effects. The rifle clatters from his grip as he crashes into a chair and slumps unmoving to the floor. A pall of smoke rises from the scorched mess that is his chest. Croc grunts, eye membranes flicking, tail hissing softly on the floor as he watches. Stupid SoftSkin. Not moving to help, though. Knuckles grumbles, getting slowly to his feet. He walks over to the unconscious Tixon, breathing raspily, and then kicks the fallen rifle toward Croc. Knuckles, think you take. Tixon lies unmoving on the floor, the glow of his fused armor dimming, the stench of burned meat filling the area. Croc stands up and picks up the rifle. Rolling an eye over it, he grunts. Want to call med people? He rumbles as he slings the rifle over his shoulder with the other one. Knuckles snorts, looking from the cooked Timone to Croc. This one no need med people. He holsters his own rifle, then kneels beside Tixon, patting the Timone down for his goods. He picks up a knife, grumbling. Weapon too good for stupid SoftSkin. He gestures to the other items as he throws them here and there. To Croc he says, Knuckles think you take what you want. Knuckles no care. He now searches for the 500 credit ream and then some. Croc rumbles and clomps over, gaze drifting over the other items. Not much worth here. Picking up the portable scanner, leaving the rest. Knuckles finishes shaking down the near corpse, then takes the knife and puts it to Tixon's throat, hissing, Knuckles could kill, right now. Knuckles like. He looks toward Croc. Knuckles let you choose. Live? Die? Croc hisses and gives the thumbs down, tail swishing, tongue lashing about. No need more SoftSkins, he growls, cold. Knuckles slowly drags the Zengali combat knife's blade across Tixon's throat, releasing a gusher of violet-hued lifeblood. Tixon jerks, apparently feeling the blade even through his unconsciousness. He kicks once, twice, and then no more. The thin burble of his last breath makes its way past the blood flow. Croc watches and steps away from the flow of the SoftSkin's life force, grunts and hisses. He no died good. Knuckles shrugs, his armor clanking. He no live good. Croc grunts, shifting a rifle strap, and replaces an armor plate, hisses. Knuckles gestures to the other items, then says to Croc, Knuckles think you take others. Sell, make money. Croc grunts and shrugs his shoulders. If Knuckles think good idea. He shrugs again and goes about picking up the rest of the items. Knuckles watches as the rather grumpy but quiet about it bartender comes around and drags off the corpse. Croc just ambles back toward his stool in his usual hissing and grunting manner. Knuckles grunts, licking the blood off his newfound blade, then stands and begins to make his way toward the door. Croc just plunks down on his stool and now orders a drink. Alright, that's it for Lady Fate Looks Away. Thanks so much for listening. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope it hasn't scared you away from playing on OtherSpace. Even though actions can have consequences that are negative and can get a character killed, these days I really want to aim for something that's in service to the story. If it makes sense for a character who's pushed their luck that far to die, then we'll discuss that and see where it goes. If there's a way to make sure that a character comes out of there, injured but alive, that's something I'm going to tend toward in most cases. Tomin Kora kind of remains a place where I want it to feel like you could lose everything if you go there and cause trouble. But almost everywhere else, I want to feel like it's going to be a consent-driven situation where if you're on Earth or on a spaceship or something, and a situation arises where your character's in a life or death situation, this is supposed to be like a TV show in many ways. I want it to be the fact you can count on your characters showing up episode after episode until you, as the writer of that character or the player of that character, the actor behind them, when you're ready to let that character go, that's when we talk about the endings and the way that works out. And in one of the upcoming logs I'm going to do, I think I'll be picking one where the player was writing their own ending. Basically for their character's story. But we'll see when that comes up. What I'm trying to do going forward, as I did for this one, is that people who play on the Slack site are getting the chance to vote on which logs I reenact for these audio logs. So get on the Slack site, go to slackpass.io/join the saga, join up, become a participant. It's free. And if you do that, you're going to get a chance to vote on which of these I do. And again, if you're feeling generous, please contribute to our Patreon, patreon.com/join the saga. That covers our server costs, advertising, and for example, I just did a Reddit campaign, spent $50 to get the word out, and it got us some visibility. We've had several signups in the last week. I've seen more activity of new people coming to the Slack site than I've seen on the Mush in months. So it's fantastic. So again, thank you so much for listening, and I look forward to the next episode. Take care.